Foreclosure filings overall Snohomish County. We're down 12.67% for the year. Slight decline in foreclosure filings. Good, I like it.
But up 15% from the previous month.
But up 15% from the, but remember that's 15% from right there. So in other words, it's 480 filings a month before versus 554.
Now,
so not really that big of a difference. I mean, you're only talking 74 more properties.
Now, would you see that trend continuing through the summer months as we go into our busy area season?
There was summer last year. Oh, look, it goes beep. And then it drops. Where does it drop? It drops November, December, January. Why does it do that?
People getting back to like
Banks get nice at the holidays. Honest truth.
They don't want to foreclose before Christmas.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. Foreclosure outcomes in Snohomish County. Cancellations were up 24.9% for the year. REO back to the bank, we're up 41.5%. Sold to third party, very small number, sorry, that was a little bit blurry. It is 68.75%. Sold to third party means at the actual foreclosure auction on the courthouse steps, someone was the winning bidder. So, what's interesting here, why would more sales to third parties be happening at the auction steps?
Or people are becoming familiar with the process?
No, they know that it's going into the up market in the summer, and we can pre-prep the inventory and then put it back on the market for the flip.
That actually could be a great one too. I didn't think about that. So they know that we're going to have generally overall more sales during the summer. That's a great idea. What I was actually specifically thinking was because the level of foreclosures has reached such a high level in the state of Washington, banks are becoming more aggressive in our state in all phases. So in other words, they're discounting the note most likely to make it attractive enough to investors for them to be able to purchase at the courthouse steps. And that's why you're seeing that happen right there. So 70% more investors are purchasing now than they were a year ago. And it has to be because they're discounting it first. Otherwise, why would they purchase? They're not going to go overpay.
That's true.
Especially when you've got no title insurance, you can't see the inside of the property, you're hoping it's not, gutted and filled full of quickcrete.
Hold on just a second. So how many foreclosures do we have sitting in the wings in Snohomish County?
Don't know.
Yes?
Well, let's look here.
Hi there, how are you? Thank you for calling me back. I have a question for you. I was talking to Winnie Smith.
Okay, so total inventory of bank-owned properties in Snohomish County is up 76.13%. My personal business is feeling that one. And scheduled for sale is up 21.4%. So scheduled for sale, that means you actually have a notice of trustee sale on your property and you have a specific auction date coming. Right here, you can see that there's 2,000, well here I'll read the number off the screen because that was a little blurry. It says 2,309 REO properties that are...
Just in March. Okay.
That's just in March. No, that's total inventory.
Oh, total inventory.
It's total inventory of, okay, hold on, let me rephrase this. Where'd it go? Sorry. With 2,309 properties that are in REO and total inventory, and remember, every month in Snohomish County, last month we sold 660 properties. So just in REO inventory, you've got approximately 3.5 months worth of just REO inventory chilling there. Okay? This doesn't necessarily mean this is even on the market. This is inventory that has been foreclosed on, that is being held by a bank or is on the market. Okay? We don't know that particular distinction right here. What we are seeing though, because what I look at on the other side is we're seeing 50, 60, 70 properties go back to the bank. Okay, every week. I am not seeing 50, 60, 70 REOs hit the market every week.
How many are in the market, just guessing every week?
I don't know, I would have to pull that.
Just shoot from the head?
Shooting from the hip, 35, 40,
So,
a little more than half. I would say probably 2/3. So there's another third of those properties that are just chilling out there and building up in what we call the shadow inventory. On a national level, there's 3 big companies who have talked about this: CoreLogic, Barclays Capital, and LPS Analytics. And the range and the data ranges from 600,000 total properties to as many as 1.3 million that have been foreclosed on that the banks are holding. Okay.
Why do you think that is? Why are they holding?
There's a variety of reasons. They could foreclose on the property and it could be occupied by a tenant.
So they gotta wait for that.
They have to wait for the lease to expire. They could foreclose on the property needs repairs. They then have to repair the property. They could foreclose on the property and that particular portfolio is underperforming. So they need to wait. That's a shareholder thing, don't know why. They could foreclose on the property specifically like Frontier Bank, for instance, that's now owned by Union. They foreclosed on a ton of properties. They have a list that's like 3 or 4 pages of land that they haven't sold. And the reason for that is because with them in particular, they're under a loss share agreement with the FDIC. And so they have to sell them for a certain amount. If they can't sell them for a certain amount, they have to wait for a new appraisal to come up that will justify the new value, because the loss share agreement dictates that if it's not sold for a certain value, the FDIC then has to approve and then kick in the funds for the difference. So that means they have to wait for these appraisals to come down, because the appraisals are good for anywhere from 90 days to 5 months. So they have to sit there and let that inventory season. It's really,
It's a whole game.
it's a whole game, and there's 20,000 different dynamics, and all we can do is look at it and make guesses. And our guesses are this: our market's depreciating between 0.5% to 0.75% per week. Probably 20 to 30% of the inventory that gets foreclosed on is still just hanging out. Foreclosure timelines are increasing. They are becoming more motivated to do short sales. They're becoming more motivated to do loan mods, and obviously they're discounting their second, because sold to a third party is up almost, or excuse me, discounting the first mortgage when it actually goes to the foreclosure auction, because the activity at the auction is up by 70% in the last year. So there has to be some good buys happening, because those investors are vultures. They have to be vultures because of the level of risk they're taking. And the rest, we're just kind of hanging out. It's just a guess.
interesting.
Thoughts, questions, ideas?
So what's your projection? Because I mean, if you look at, Linwood on their, you figured what, 4.7 in Linwood, and a couple other markets. So what's your projection with the shadow inventory and everything, where the market's heading over the next year?
This is a
Because
guess.
it'd be really, like, if you analyze month to month, like the last month on your statistics versus the next month, I mean, you can get a trend of.
You can get a trend, but when we're talking about February, for instance, February was a bloodbath. February dropped 2%, and inventory was still in the 7s. So March just looked better, and we can't look at it on a month-to-month. We have to look at it more on a rolling, basis, where we're looking at it more of a standard curve per se. If I had to guess, we're going to continue our downward slide of the 0.5% to 0.75%. That's going to continue till probably 2013.
Let's say you're saying per week, so that's a couple.
No, per month.
Per month, okay.
0.5% to 0.75%. Because right now, when you look at the year, okay, when you look at the year-to-date for Snohomish County, both in the median and the average price, it was 10.7 and 10.4. So, 0.5% to 0.75%. We're going to go down to probably 2013 because this foreclosure inventory is still rising. I mean, that curve is headed up. Okay? Foreclosure timelines are still increasing. In other words, they're trying to do more things to work it out, but that inventory still has to work through the system. There was something, and I just read it, that said home ownership is now back to 66.4% of Americans. One of the things that got us into this whole debacle was we tried to get home ownership to 70%. It started during the Clinton administration, and they went to Fannie, they went to Freddie, they said we want of Americans to own homes. We need you to relax your criteria. And then anyone that could fog a mirror, we gave a loan to, and that's what created this. Borrowed buyers in the future, put them into houses today, created artificial appreciation. All of that artificial appreciation is gone. We are back to 2003 prices in most of Snohomish County. Only problem with markets is they go up, but then they come down. So when we should have been appreciating naturally from like 03 on, we're going to have to go back below 03 prices in order for the curve of a natural market to bring us back out. So I think 2 years, we're going to come down another 6 to 12%. And we are going to see REO and foreclosure inventory continue to rise. I think it's going to make up 50 to 70%, I'm talking REO and short, of the overall market. I think the REO market will die off in approximately 2 years. After that, I believe short sales will stick around for another 7 because of the negative equity problem. A mindset that develops with sellers is that if I'm having difficulty and I'm getting behind on my payments, but I'm 150 grand upside down, that 150 grand starts to weigh on them like just lead bricks. And they think, well, why should I keep trying? And then they give up. And what we're seeing is people who've now bought in 09, I've seen some 09 properties come back, and we may start to see some 2010 properties come back.
Didn't you say when somebody gets 30 or 60 days behind, the likelihood of them going into a short sale or foreclosure, that was a phenomenal.
GMAC, a gentleman there had specifically told me that there is an 86% likelihood once someone is 60 days behind that they get foreclosed on. That was an internal stat from them. And it's because of the negative equity. Most people give up after a certain period of time. I wrote a blog post on our website about the negative equity. 11.4 million homes right now in the state of, or excuse me, in the United States have negative equity. Okay.
So 10% of the entire.
No, I think there's all. I think it's like that's like 25% of all the homes have some type of negative equity in them, because we built so many during the up market. What's good for investors right now, though? Opportunity to buy, opportunity for cash flow. Things not cash flowed for the last 15 years in the local area. The second opportunity is you got opportunity for appreciation. Now, you're not going to experience that for probably 2 years, but then you're never going to know when the bottom is, so you have to buy through the whole bottom. You just go buy. But interest rates are at a 45-year low, and quantitative easing 2 is almost done. Okay, and as soon as that's done, even though it did not happen when QE1 finished, which is quantitative easing 1, I think interest rates are going to have to rise this time. The Fed is saying, no, don't worry. They didn't rise the first time. But we've been sending so much money around in a circle that I think inflationary pressure has to start building. And if it doesn't happen immediately, it will happen eventually. But with interest rates under 5%, and on a national average, they've hovered 8. Okay, so in the United States, we've been tracking interest rates since the early 1900s. And if you take them all and divide, it's 8% on average. So we're not there. And then over the last few years, it was actually more like 6. And the only reason it's low right now is the Fed took the money from the mortgage-backed securities that they bought, those troubled assets. They're kicking off cash flow still. They use their cash flow, they go buy T-bills, and they push money around in a circle. That's all they're doing. Okay, lots of money in a circle, but it's got to create inflation sooner or later. You cannot just keep printing money
I was
without.
amazed at the meeting yesterday when they were talking about, was it Cascade or Bank of America were saying for those new construction, they could get a 4% 30-year fixed.
That was Cascade.
I was like, wow, like
Cascade's
seriously?
buying down
How
that
could
rate.
you not?
Because Cascade's buying
it
down that rate
like
because
4%,
they're.
that's incredible.
Well, once again, there's something right there that's then driving down prices because you have a builder who has a bunch of inventory.
And they want it now.
And they're not selling their inventory as fast as they want to, so Cascade Bank, being the underlying lien holder, is saying, hey, I'll give you discounted mortgages in order to move these properties.
Yeah. Who wouldn't want that? 4%?
Theoretically, you could go buy those homes up there, what was it,
Shasta Ridge.
Shasta Ridge.
Was it Shasta Ridge? Yeah.
For $300 to $400 a month less than what you got to pay in rent. That's awesome.
Yeah. No, they're townhome style, right? Yeah, but use them as a rental or something.
Yeah.
There you go, 4%.
You're funny, Jeff.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
for a lot of people though who are looking to rent right now, that's.
Well,
that's what they're marketing to, right?
what's
Cheaper
happening?
moving to those.
What's happening is like the only sector of commercial that's performing well according to the Swanepoel Trends report that was just released is actual multifamily. And the reason for that is these foreclosures.
Right.
These people get foreclosed on and they have a $2,200 a month mortgage. Where are they going? They're going to somewhere where they can pay $1,500, $1,400, $1,300. So what we're seeing locally is rental rates are increasing, vacancies are going down, and it's becoming easier to fill those properties. And I think we may even see it to the point where it becomes disproportionate, where rents get higher than mortgages based on all these
Certainly
foreclosures. It's simple supply and demand. In some cases it is, but it's not an overall trend.
Okay.
Because if you're looking at total Snohomish County is still, for instance, like the average price was still $277.
Okay.
Well, a mortgage on $277 is definitely going to be more than what you would rent for. But we are seeing instances when you can purchase properties that are good buys where you're going to cash flow. The overall affordability has not hit that yet, but if it continues on its current trend, it most likely will. That's crazy.
It's nuts.
Yeah, where it's going to be more expensive to rent than it is to buy.
Make those people need realtors.
Any questions, thoughts about stats?
No, that was awesome. Thank you very much.
That's very good.
I was wondering on your